All right, good afternoon, grade 11s. Welcome to your LO class for today. My name is Buleng Litziga and I will be your LO teacher for the duration of the lockdown. I just want you to tell me quickly in the chat box whether you can hear me or not. Can you hear me? Quickly in the chat box. All right, thank you for letting me know. Thank you, Ben and Bali. So yes, on the slides, you can see my email address, litikapuleng@yahoo.com. You're welcome to email me when you have questions or you want clarity, anything with regards to LO. Litika is my surname, Puleng is my name. That will be in small letters and then at yahoo.com. So that is where you can get me. Remember that you're welcome to interact with me in the chat box. I will read your comments in the chat box and you can ask me anything that you want to know and then we can answer that in the chat box. So today we will be doing chapter 15, unit 1, unit 2 and 3. Unit 3 is very short, so we can cover it today if we are able to make it through everything. So yesterday we were doing the kinds of abuse and we were describing or explaining the kinds of abuse that we have. So today we're looking at the negative effects on health and well-being. So these are the negative effects of abuse on our health and well-being. So the lesson objectives for today are that you know the physical and emotional effects of abuse, and that you know the negative effects of gender roles on widows. So a widow is a woman who has lost her husband, whose husband has passed away. We call them a widow. And then if the man has passed away, no, if the woman has passed away, the wife has passed away, then we call the man the widower. So unit 3 is just this is just that you know how to speak out on abuse. So this is when you're being abused, or if it happens that you get abused in the future, this should make you comfortable with speaking out. So yes, let us start with our lesson today. So welcome to everyone. So let us start with the lesson for today. All forms of abuse discussed in Unit 1, which is what we did yesterday, can have a negative effect on your health and well-being. They can affect you physically and emotionally. So these are the physical effects of abuse. So right here, the physical effects of abuse include bruises, broken bones, and teeth, rope or strap marks. So these are as a result of physical abuse. So someone beating you up, hitting you with fists, tying you up, or kicking you or biting you. These are things that can cause bruises, broken bones, and teeth, rope or strap marks. And then the third bullet point, STIs, HIV and AIDS, and unwanted pregnancies and death. So STIs, HIV, and AIDS can be passed on to you if you're being taken advantage of as a child, maybe an adult or your uncle, father, your brother or your neighbors, or a stranger can take advantage of you, and obviously you cannot negotiate for protection when you're younger, or or maybe your spouse or whoever, your boyfriend, so can pass on STIs, HIV, or AIDS to you when you aren't able to negotiate for something that will prevent the passing on. So unwanted pregnancies, so that is if you maybe get raped. We did speak about rape yesterday. Maybe a date rape or raped by a cousin, a friend, a neighbor, or a stranger. So we did speak about how this is not only about women, this can also happen to males. So a man can get raped even though they call it molestation or being sodomized. So they do use a different wording maybe when you get to court. I don't know whether there's an update on it, but the last time I checked, when you go to court for male rape, then they'll call it sodomy. So you can get raped as a boy. And then death. Death is when somebody shoots you, when somebody stabs you with a knife, when somebody throttles you or strangles you, when someone hits you on the head. We've seen that in the media. So we've seen it with the hashtags Uinene and Karabo. So there have been many hashtags where women were killed. And then abuse does also happen, does also cause death with males. So this is so that we balance everything out. So with males, it does happen too. Remember, there's a hashtag right now. I think it's been over the last few weeks, hashtag justice for Bobo. So Bobo is a young man from KZN who was killed, I think, at a nearby lodge in his community. For whatever the reason they killed him for, there is no reason to violate a person, to abuse them to the point that they die. So it is a murder case. So males can get abused too, and males can get stabbed too, shot, or killed, strangled by other men and by other women too. So the last bullet point is bald spots, where your hair has been pulled out and burns from a cigarette. So bald spots can be caused when someone pulls out your hair. So this is not a person that will actually hit you with a fist. They just want to take their pain out on you or cause pain on you in a different way. Maybe you can't go to well, you still can go and report a crime like that, but it's something that you will just most likely sweep under the carpet and say, oh, but it's not that bad. He's not beating me up, or she's not beating me up. But this is a kind of abuse, and you can go and report it. So it is bald spots where your hair is being put out, and then again, burns from cigarettes. So yes, burns from cigarettes. This is someone who smokes and then they burn you with cigarettes. So this is another form of abuse. So the emotional effects, those were the physical effects. So right now we are on emotional effects of abuse. So the emotional effects of abuse include fear of the other person. So you become like, you have anxiety, you are scared of seeing this person. Every time this person is around, you shake or you get into a panic attack, and maybe you can freeze and you just get out of your senses. You can't move. You can't speak properly anymore. Your brain just freezes. So when you come into contact with this person, or just a mere thought of them, or maybe they being mentioned in a conversation, maybe someone is speaking about your uncle or your brother or your neighbor, or maybe someone in the community, or even your teacher or someone from the church group. It can be anyone really. So fear will come and grip you, and you won't respond in a positive way. I mean, depression would be stress, overwhelming amount of stress, and then you get disinterested in the things that you used to be interested in. You want to close yourself in the bedroom. You don't want to speak to people anymore. You get lost and you just lose your life. You no longer know what's going on in your life, and you don't have energy anymore. You don't want to wake up anymore. You don't want to face life anymore. You don't want to go out and do things anymore. You just want to stay at home. So fear of personal safety. Now there's this person stalking you. They following you around, or they saying, "Don't move, don't go there, don't come to my house anymore." And then your parents don't understand why. Sorry, you can't go maybe to the store anymore because you have to pass by this person's house before you get there, and you fear that they might follow you or just make you uncomfortable to be around them. And then another thing is they might be calling you or texting you. You change your numbers, they text you again. On social media, they inbox you, they DM you, or whatever they do, they just make you feel uncomfortable and are currently forcing themselves to be in your space. So that is also an emotional effect of abuse. So this person is abusing you emotionally, because when they stalk you basically, and when they force themselves into your space, they're causing you to get into a place of fear and anxiety. And then anger, you will get angry. So you get angry with life and with the people around you. So basically, your moods might change. And what happens is, whenever someone is being polite with you or makes a mistake, then you can lynch out or break out in anger over something that you never used to get angry about. And then an increased risk of suicide. You might get suicidal. Suicidal people don't want to live anymore. You think along the lines of, there's no point of me being alive. There's no point of me looking forward to the next day. It can't get better. The situation will never change. There is no hope. Nobody's going to be on my side. Nobody's going to believe me anyway. I can't speak to anyone because everyone just respects this person. And this person has such a good reputation. They're honored and they have dignity. And so no one will ever think that a girl like me or a boy like me can be taken advantage of. They'll just think that I'm looking for attention, or I just want to drag this person's reputation in the mud, or I just want to assassinate this person's character. So, and then those are the kinds of things that you will think about, and then think, let me just end it right here. Let me just end my life. So, dropping out of school, this is the third bullet point. Dropping out of school. So, yes, you can drop out of school once maybe someone has raped you and then you have a baby. So now you have to stay away from school because now you have to look after the child. And then there's a taboo against pregnant girls at school, so they can't go to school anymore. They have to stay at home. And then another thing is, um, you drop out of school because of shame. Maybe it is your teacher or one of the elder boys at school that have abused you. So you are shameful. So you don't want to go to school anymore because you feel embarrassed. You People are talking about you and people are starting to bully you. So then you drop out of school. And then staying away from friends. This is now isolating yourself and staying inside the house. You don't want to be around people anymore, the people that you used to be with, together with constantly anymore. And then feeling worthless. So feeling worthless is like, it's empty. I'm not good enough. It's never going to change. I can't change this. I can't do anything about it. I'm so useless. I'm not smart. I'm stupid. I'm good for nothing. What am I going to do in the future? I can't be anything. Nothing is going to become of me. I can't do anything with my life. I can't um, I cannot contribute positively to any situation. I don't see myself fitting in any way. So these are the kinds of things that you might go through as an after effect of emotional abuse. So being alone, like I said, you just want to be by yourself and you don't want to be bothered. It's isolating yourself, and then powerless, you feel like you can't do anything about this. There's no energy, you don't want to wake up from bed, you feel like this person has so much power and authority over me. Maybe this person is rich and you don't have a lawyer, you can't afford to even go to a psychologist for help. You can't reach out for help because you feel this person is going to beat me in court anyway. So maybe this person is your youth pastor or your senior pastor. You feel, they're going to say, you're just a congregant, you're just a girl in the youth, and you're just looking for attention. So you want to drag the pastor's name in the mud, or it can be anything really that makes you feel like you are less than and you can't do anything about it because you just a nobody. And then the fourth bullet point, feelings of guilt because you think you may be responsible for the violence. So these are things like, I shouldn't have been out at night. I shouldn't have taken that road. If I changed the road, or maybe why did I change the route that I usually walk in? I should have just stayed on the same road that I always go to school with, or that I always come back from my grandmother's house with. I should have never taken that taxi. My gut feeling told me not to, or I shouldn't have gotten on that Uber or on that cab because I just had a bad feeling about this driver or this person that was in the car, the passenger that was with the driver. So it is feelings that you feel guilty. How could I have trusted this person? All the signs are there. Why? All the signs were there. I couldn't. How could I have missed them? Rather. So basically, it's just blaming yourself and feeling sorry for yourself, and now feeling feelings of embarrassment and feelings of shame. So like you can't get out of this now. This is a cage for you and you can't break out of it because I have caused this problem. This is, I shouldn't have been born in this family. So because this is your cousin now, or this is your uncle, or this is your parent, so I shouldn't have been born in this family. I'm the problem. If I wasn't here, then things would have changed. So this is also for male children. So yeah, it can be anything. It can also be someone stealing your phone and not necessarily something physical. So it can cause like you to like be emotional and have an emotional effect on you where you feel like that you shouldn't have taken that road, or you should have left your phone at home or your tablet at home. So it is things like that. I mean, the last bullet point, being unable to sleep, sleeping all the time, or nightmares, and being afraid to trust people. So these are just sleeping patterns. Being unable to sleep is like insomnia. I think that's how to pronounce it. So now there's lack of sleep, you can't rest, and remember, when you can't rest, you're not gonna be healthy because you need to have enough sleep in order to make it in order to be healthy the following day, and in order to be energetic and just wide awake. and enthusiastic. So maybe losing your sleep does affect you, and then it's because you keep on thinking about this situation, and that it keeps on playing in your mind and repeating itself in your mind. So, and then sleeping all the time, this is now a form of depression where you can't wake up, you can't get out of bed. So it's like a depressive stupor where you just lay there. You can, like, if your mother doesn't call you for breakfast or your father doesn't ask you to get out of bed, like some fathers do, you could lie in your bed for 2 days or 2.5 days and just getting up to go to the fridge and eat ice cream or just make a big meal and then go to sleep again, eating in your bedroom, not even taking the plate back to the kitchen. So yeah, it's stuff like that, or nightmares. So you start having terrible dreams now because these are flashbacks of what happened to you. And then being afraid to trust people, you're no longer trusting anymore. Uh, you have trust issues. You don't want to give people a chance in your life to do things with you. You don't want to give anyone or anything a try anymore. So you just keep to yourself and you just do things alone and by yourself. Remember that you can interact with me, those of you that have joined the class. And then the negative effects of gender roles on widows. Oh, I spelled that wrong. I'm so sorry. On widows and not windows. The negative effects of gender roles on widows who have to follow different mourning rituals from men, include the following. So remember, I told you what a widow is. So these are things or cultures, traditions, and religious things that widows, a wife whose husband has passed away, these are the things that they experience after the funeral or during the funeral, that is, during that week, once they found out that the husband has passed away. So these are the kinds of things that can happen to them. The widow is often isolated or kept apart from her people. So you kept apart from your family members, or you see maybe it's the husband's family, or maybe the church members if you're lucky. So, or they can keep you in an isolated room with the coffin, and not everyone is supposed to enter that room. So you have very little access to people. So her in laws may blame her for her husband's death and treat her badly. I know that in some cultures it is prevalent that whenever the husband dies, they blame the woman for his death, even if it's something obvious like a car accident or just someone getting sick and being hospitalized, even if it was a chronic illness like diabetes or high blood pressure. And people will still blame the woman for the husband's death because that is like the culture that is prevalent. That is what has been going on from one generation to the other. So she's forced to drink bitter tasting herbs. So now you're being forced to take some herbs. I know there's a culture somewhere um in the center east I think center east Africa, where if they suspect that your husband that you killed your husband, then they'll wash your husband's body with water, and then you must drink that water. So if you don't drink that water, then they say you have killed your husband, and if you do drink that water, then it is okay. So things do differ. If you don't drink the bitter herbs, then they'll think that maybe you are the one who's refusing to mourn for your husband, and therefore you have something to do with his death. And then she has to do what her in laws say or be rejected by her community. So you need to follow everything that your in laws say. they say we're burying on Thursday, then you do it. If they're saying we're burying this person in the wee hours of the morning, you need to do so. If they say stay out of the community or isolate yourself for 6 months or whatever, then you need to do that. Otherwise, your community will reject you. So, and then she cannot make up her own mind about things. So maybe you can't choose the coffin that you want. You can't say, I don't want a whole lot of people here. I just want us to just attend the funeral as children and close relatives instead of having everyone there. Like maybe she wants something similar to what we're seeing now with COVID-19, the funerals with 50 people in them, and they're similar to the ones that Western cultures or Western civilizations have, where it's just family members and close friends that attend the funerals. So then she's not allowed to make up her mind about such things. Or maybe she wants to cremate her husband. She doesn't want to bury the husband. She wants to cremate the husband and go throw the ashes into the ocean where he proposed to her on a boat, maybe the ocean in Tanzania. So she's not allowed to do these things. So she's made to feel unclean until she brings bad luck. So until they wash her or whatever they do, she's unclean and she brings a curse on people who come into contact with her, who speak to her. And then she cannot have boyfriends or remarry until the mourning period is over. So, yeah, she cannot just carry on with her life immediately. She needs to hold her life up until she's done with the mourning period. So what happens is with husbands, widowers, if your wife has passed away, it is completely different. So you won't have to be isolated from people. You're not likely to be blamed for the wife's death. You won't have to drink bitter herbs. So you can make the decisions on how your wife is buried and what's to happen. Then you can make up your own mind about things. You're not unclean, and you can remarry. Some people, some men choose a wife right there at the funeral. So I met my wife at my wife's funeral. So that is it. And then on the other hand, as someone who's also studied anthropology, this might just be just to balance things a bit. Someone might just argue that this is just culture. This is our culture as Africans, or this is our culture, and this is what we do. I'm not speaking about the blaming a woman for the husband's death. That's not what I'm speaking about, and being made to feel unclean or whatever. I'm talking about, or being isolated. I'm talking about maybe what we covered yesterday, that there is a mourning period, 6 months or whatever, and then maybe you have to wear sackcloth for that 6 months, and then yeah, just to show that you're mourning for your husband. And then the husband likewise will wear a band around his shoulders and a button. So this is just to balance things out so that we aren't one-sided with our view. But obviously, if it comes to a point of blaming someone for someone else's death, then that is a negative thing. Or if you're going to make someone drink something that is not healthy or that is not hygienic, then that is something else. So if it's just about respecting your husband and just making sure that you work together with your in-laws to respectfully bury their son and your husband, then that is a fair thing to do. So yeah, I'm sure some of you will agree with me there. And then unit 3, address unequal power relations and power relations, inequality and inequality between genders. So this is about addressing unequal power relations. Like this is the example that I just made with the husband and the wife being treated differently during morning periods. So speak out on abuse. So the strong message about that uh, message that you need to know is that you must speak up. So speaking up is important. You need to tell somebody you trust about the abuse and then report it. So all forms of abuse should be reported. You do not have to keep silent. So all the abuses that we mentioned from yesterday and the ones that I spoke about today, they need to be reported. There is no minor abuse or abuse that can be looked over, or that we can say there's nothing wrong with this. Maybe he was just angry, or maybe she was just fed up, or maybe she's just had a long day, or he's just feeling financial pressure. Everything is on him. No one must hate you for any reason, or no one must harass you for any reason. So you do have the right to speak up about it. Make sure someone knows about it. Make sure you report it at the police station, and or call an authority, whether it's social development or tell a social worker. Just make someone aware of it, so you don't have to keep quiet. Some people like silencing other people. Someone will say, you're also hashtagging GBV, also against gender-based violence. This rhetoric is so boring. It's so like yesterday. You're also one of those women. You're just a boring pseudo feminist. If you want to raise your abuse, you can, and there's nothing wrong with it. You're not being trying to be better than a man. You're not trying to get attention, or you're not yearning for attention or anything like that. You're just trying to report the violation that you have experienced. So that is, if you're being abused, this is the next slide. If you're being abused, you have the following rights. You can apply for a protection order at your nearest police station or the magistrate court. A protection order is given by the court and orders your abuser to stop the abuse. If the person does not stop, he or she can be arrested. You can get a temporary protection order at any time of the day or night. So we know protection orders that basically they'll say that this person is not supposed to come within 5 or 10 kilometers of where you are. Maybe they can't come to your home anymore. They can't come to your workplace anymore. They shouldn't follow you anymore. They shouldn't come into contact maybe with your children or with your parents, or if maybe they've threatened your whole family, then maybe they can't even go to your family's home anymore. So whatever will be written in your protection order will be suitable and will be tailor made, uh, particularly or specifically for the situation that you're going through. So it won't be the same as mine. So maybe my husband is maybe being abusive towards the child. So maybe the protection order will include that he's not allowed to go to the child's school, and he's not allowed to be around the child when the child is at Matt's Kuhlman or at the extracurricular, the hockey match or hockey club. So whereas maybe the next person doesn't have children, so maybe their abuse only involves a domestic one. After their separation, this person keeps on coming to the place. So this order will just say stop going to this person's place and you'll get arrested if you do so. So basically, it's just to say, this is what we expect from you. You can't harm this person anymore. If you harm them, then you can go to jail. And then remember, there are a lot of people who will start with the protection order process and then stop along the way. So remember, if you started a protection order process, remember to follow it up and go right through with it, because some people will die whilst the process is on the way, because maybe they stopped it along the way. They went to the police station, then dropped the case, then they went to the police station again after the abuse repeated itself, and then they dropped it again. So remember to, once you've done a protection order, you need to carry it through and make sure that you follow the process until the end, so that you can gain enough evidence against this person, and this person can be jailed for whatever they are doing to you. So you can lay a criminal charge too at the police station. So you can lay a charge at the police station too. So yeah, if the summary is negative effects on health and well-being. And then before you leave, I know some of you love leaving before the class. If you have any question, you can ask me the question now, or if you have a comment, we can read it in the chat box. You can ask me in the chat box. So negative, the summary, negative effects on health and well-being. Let me check. Okay. Okay, Eclipse says, what if you are abused by your mom and you don't want her to get arrested? So what happens is you still need to report it, maybe to someone at school, maybe your teacher or another family member, or you can report it to a social worker. Social workers are available at clinics and public hospitals, and then just speak about it with a social worker, and they can advise you on what to do, because really it is a personal matter. I can't apply a blanket or a general statement, so you would have to receive a tailor-made advice from your social worker. Maybe if it's corporal punishment, then they will go through a process where they tell your mother that if you do continue with this, then you will have to be prosecuted for this. So basically, it's just to improve the relationship between you and your mom and to resolve the problem. But you cannot be battered every day and just maybe hit with an iron cord or burnt with an iron. So if you getting burnt with an iron, then that is not how your mom is supposed to behave. So your mom does need help. And remember, getting arrested is not like you sending the person away to die. We don't have the death penalty in South Africa, but prisons are rehabilitation centers. So there are programs in prison or alternative sentences that the judge can say you must go through a rehabilitation process, go through a program, or do a community service or whatever, and then get rehabilitated. So going to jail is not necessarily um, the only judgment that one can receive. They can get a different judgment from the judge, and that is to say, you need to be rehabilitated. So, again, we should not be afraid to get people arrested, because we have had moms that kill their own children, lace their food with poison, or whatever. If someone does something that is against the law, you do have to report it, because maybe that person needs to be psychologically tested. Maybe it's only the tip of the iceberg. You let it go, and then something bigger than that happens where you actually get killed or whatever. So you need to speak to someone about it so that they can get it checked out. You don't know what's going on. Actually, maybe you're sitting on a time bomb. So yes, your mom will get help if you report her to social workers or the police station, because they also do have social workers and they can refer her to social workers, and they can read out the law to her and tell her that this is unacceptable. I know in some communities far from, civilization, there are parents who don't know the rights, that children have rights. The parents that know children have rights are the ones that are more like urban and the ones that are more civilized. So the modern parents, I know some parents are still old school and traditional. They're not up to date with the corporal punishment, that you must respect the rights of your child and that you can't like I saw an incident on social media where a woman had tied a boy around a pole and they were hitting them because they had apparently stolen something. So you can't abuse a child for no reason just because it's a woman doing it. I think I've moved away a bit from the mom situation, but sometimes when crime is perpetuated by women, we tend to look over it and we tend to take it lighter than when it's perpetuated by a man. So we should treat it equally because abuse is abuse and you need to get it reported. So, yes, the summary. The negative effects of gender roles on health and well being include physical harm, injury, and emotional effects. You can address unequal power relations between genders and their effects by knowing your rights, speaking up, and reporting forms of abuse. Unit 3, address unequal power relations and power inequality between genders. And then many organizations are available to help you if you experience abuse or if you know someone who is a victim of abuse. So yes, that is the end of the lesson. So I did, if you want to practice though, so I have a question for you. What are the effects of abuse on a person? So this is what, remember we did do the studying and stuff. So this is just so that you can remember the work and so that you can learn the work for if you have to write exams or whatever. So you can put down the question, what are the effects of abuse, and then see if you can answer it and then go back to your studies. So please do join me tomorrow for our class at 3 o'clock again. So I'll see you tomorrow. We are going to start with a new chapter tomorrow. So see you tomorrow, and then just remember that. Let's move on to the next slide, which is the final slide, the one with the information. So remember to contact Africa Teen Gigs for any information that you want to know. Sign up for the newsletter and then you'll get the information that you need to get with regards to links and anything that you need to know. And then also follow Africa Teen Gigs on all social media platforms, whether it's Insta, Facebook, Twitter, every single platform that you might be on. So do follow Africa Teen Gigs. And then please remember that you can still contact me on litikapuleng@yahoo.com. And thank you for being in the lesson with me.